but I haven't gotten there yet. Good afternoon. Hello, Key. Hello, Soul Collective. Happy Sunday to you all. Hi, Star. Ms. Lowe, Gwinnett County, Georgia, planning a tiny home community. I am from Gwinnett County, Georgia. I lived there for many years, raised my daughter there off of um, Sugar Loaf Parkway. So welcome, Gwinnett County. All right. Happy Sunday. I missed you all. Didn't get a chance to be in community with you last Sunday. I was actually traveling and did not have Wi-Fi access. Um, and didn't know I wouldn't. I had intended to be in community, but didn't realize I wouldn't have. Um, I didn't have. I had Wi-Fi access, but I didn't have access to the site. Is the better answer. Happy Sunday, Cynthia. Happy to have you here. All right, what's going on with everybody? Let me do my intro before we get started, because I forgot to do it last time. Let me get myself together. All right, here we go. Good morning or afternoon, depending on your location. My name is Jewel Pearson. This is Miss Bohemian Soul TV. This is Creating Home, a Tiny House series. This segment that we are about to kick off is the community conversation segment within the series. There is the What's Your Question segment and the conversation on intimate spaces segment where I am interviewing people in and around the tiny house movement. We're all in community in all of these segments, and that is the whole intent, to be in community and to talk tiny houses and things that are relative to tiny houses. As I introduce myself, I like to say that I built a kind of fancy tiny house in 2015. And since that time, I have shared my journey to inspire others who are interested in the movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others in their tiny house journey. And you'll be able to find links to schedule with me in the video description below this video once it goes live. And as I'm doing all of that, I like to serve up a lot of representation in the movement along the way. I always say I want us to see ourselves represented here in the movement. I also want us to see our joy, our challenges, our concerns, all of those things, have a space for us to talk about those things so that we too can be successful in this movement. It is my intent to build figurative and literal community that is inclusive and accessible. And as Crystal will remind you throughout, if you find this information in the video helpful, I hope you will like it, you'll share it, you'll subscribe to the channel, and then also turn on the notifications so that you'll know when content is live and available. All right. Let me get back to the chat. Thank you, Michelle. I missed you all too. I appreciate that. Hi, Linda. Good rainy afternoon from Jacksonville, Florida. It's cloudy here, but we don't have any rain. But it looks like it might rain at any minute. Okay, you're in Gwinnett too. I didn't know that. Yes, Gwinnett is. Um, my sister still lives in Gwinnett. She lives in Lilburn. My daughter went to elementary, junior, middle school for her, elementary, middle school, and high school in Gwinnett. Hey, Day. Hello from Miami. I hope you got some beautiful sunshine. Hello, F.E. Gaskin from Baltimore. Hey, Rosalind. Thank you. Happy Sunday to you. I missed you all last Sunday as well. I did intend to be in community, was traveling, and did not have access to the site, so I couldn't connect with you all. Happy Sunday, Melissa. Welcome. Happy to have you here. This is a new name here, or maybe I've forgotten, but I don't think I've seen your name. So welcome. I hope if this is your first Sunday here, you'll enjoy it and come back. Hey, Latasha. Hello. Good Sunday to you, Judith. Okay. Key says she's in Lawrenceville, been here since '08. I actually moved. I sold my house in '06. So we just missed each other. We could have been friends a long time ago. I my daughter graduated in '05 and left and went to undergrad in Durham, North Carolina. And I was having mommy anxiety, so I moved I sold my house in 2006 and moved to Charlotte so I could be closer to her. I actually had was working in North Carolina end of 2005, but I didn't sell my house until 2006. All right, Melissa is new. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you'll be back. Happy Sunday, Burning Sky. Um, yes, Crystal, thank you so much. All right. Hello, Lorraine. Thank you so much. How are you? Good to see your face. Um, from Decatur. Hey, Miss BD. So good. I'm glad to have you here this afternoon from the deck. I don't have a subject. This is, our conversation series. This week, just kind of catching you up. I have been traveling, kind of iffy on. So I'm not. Let me not even put that out there. Let me just do what I'm doing. Some of these conversations. So the Patreon community, if you are not a member of the Patreon community, feel free to join. Last week we were scheduled to have a week. We have a monthly chat, and it was Valentine's Day, so it wasn't a lot of participation. So that didn't happen, but that's a space where we can have a little more privacy, more in-depth conversation. So join me over there if you aren't already there already. Sorry, catching up on Judy, I'm sorry, Judith, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick. I hope you feel better. Absolutely. So I was traveling last weekend. One of the things that I can say is travel is healing to me. Travel brings me a lot of joy. Travel is healing. When I travel somewhere, I am not the person that is doing a lot of activities for the most part. I want to be. I'm looking for the Afro whatever community. If it's in an international space, I'm relaxing. I'm enjoying the sunshine. So travel for me as I'm navigating this post TIA space is part of my healing journey. And that's what I was doing last weekend. And like I said, I didn't recognize I would not have access to my site that I use for our broadcast. And so that was my challenge. Hey, Wayne, happy Sunday. Glad you got some sunshine over there. Um, can't wait for you to be over there. And yes, travel is absolutely self-care. So, um, I have really been, I think one of the things, and we've spoken about it here, most of the time when people experience something like a health scare or a health crisis. We focus on the crisis, and so for those of you who haven't or are new here and maybe don't follow me in other spaces, I did have a mini stroke, a TIA, December the 23rd, and physically I have, before I even went to the ER, I've shared this. I completely lost control of the left side of my body. I lost my speech. It came back initially very, very slurred, lost complete body control. Um, but then before I even went to the ER, that had come back. But one of my body control had come back, so I had regained that at 100%. I think one of the things as I'm navigating this space that I recognize now is that we don't talk a lot about the emotional impact things like this have on people. Like we talk about more of the physical things, and we don't talk about the emotional pieces of it and how it changes you emotionally. Like they're the physical things that you deal with, and you deal with that like through rehab, but there's also some really um deep emotional impact that happens, and it's more of I kind of feel like my life has been not upended, um, impacted a lot because obviously I'm looking at things differently, like um, knowing that the impact of my TIA was stress from a job. I know that, I have to, there's some self-preservation that I have to put into place to avoid stress. Obviously not putting my self in a job space that is going to impact me stressfully. But the way things happened kind of so abruptly, there's the financial impact, which it's financial impact, but there's also emotional impact because you have to start navigating a space, and it's a new space, and things are out of control, out of your control. Like things are more so happening around you as a result of the event, and you don't necessarily have the control. So there's a lot of emotional navigation as well as like the physical navigation. I still have lots of doctor appointments. Really, my path right now is dealing with the cardiologist because I also shared that I learned I have a PFO, which is a small hole in my heart, which all of us have, and I'm oversharing, but I want all of us to be aware. You have this at birth. It's how your heart works when you're in the womb. When you're born, skin closes over that hole to close that up as you start to breathe air and oxygen. But for some people, they're saying it's like 1 in 4 people, that hole doesn't always close, or it doesn't close completely. And the way the doctor has explained it to me recently is, um, he explained mine is like I've got a screen door on mine versus a door. And he said, and sometimes that screen door is flapping open, which, as goofy as that analogy is, it made so much sense to me, and I appreciated him, and giving that analogy to me in that way, because that's one of the things that I've been grateful for, being able to have decent conversations with doctors, or real conversations, I guess I should say, at a level that I can understand versus them talking at me, talking to me. And so I thought my next steps were figuring out of, closing that hole, and that then fixes my problem. But that's not necessarily it, because it was a blood clot involved in what caused the stroke. And it was like the perfect storm that the blood clot formed and went through that door apparently had flapped, or the screen door had flapped, and it went through the hole. So it is the potentially closing of the hole, and it's also determining where that the clots where the clot came from, or what is causing the clotting. So I've done a bunch of tests and have a bunch of appointments, but it is also an emotional toll because it is sometimes there's the anxiety associated with it, like, am I constantly at risk? I do take some medication to help avoid clotting. I now have this heart monitor I have to wear for 30 days so they can monitor my heart. But there's the anxiety associated with that. And then there's also the figuring out next steps and what that looks like moving forward. And that's the piece where I don't know that we focus more on the physical, the physical rehabilitation versus the emotional rehabilitation. And so I have a excellent therapists that I'm dealing with, and I'm trying to really, really just give myself grace, and that is one of the things that um, I think as a people. We have to really focus on. And I have said many times before, I can give everyone else grace, but I don't necessarily give myself that same grace. I expect and I push, and my bar for myself is always very high. And now I'm having to rethink that and reframe that, and move differently because it's required. So that's the space that I have been in for these last few weeks, and what does that look like for my go forward. I've worked in corporate America for the majority of my career, and I'm only using quotes on careers because I've never aspired to have a career. Like, I just want a job and I just want to be paid well. Not I don't have title aspirations and climb the corporate ladder aspirations. Um I just am there for the paycheck for the most part, and some work that's not numbing my brain. But what does that look like now for me? It doesn't look like corporate America, because there's so much stress involved in corporate America. It looks for me like advocating housing advocacy, and doing the things that bring me joy so that it doesn't feel like it's work. It looks to me like the tiny house work that I do. Um, it looks like being in a space where I feel fulfillment in what I'm doing. And so all of this is just new spaces, and a lot of um, time and thought into self-care. Um, Naps. I will take a nap because I'm recognizing that some of the medication I take makes me sleepy, so I might have to get me a nap. It is more of listening and being in tune with myself versus the high expectations, and more of the I saw somebody in the comments say self-preservation. Absolutely. And that is one of the things that I am, as I'm sharing all of this, one of the things that I'm encouraging everyone to do. And I've had a couple of friends reach out to say how they're paying more attention to their health, and after I've shared my story, because that came out of nowhere for me. Like, I'm healthy. I don't have the risk factors that would normally be present for someone to experience a TIA or a mini stroke. So that one came, kind of out of left field, but it was gratefully um, the 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 indicator that I needed to do some things differently, and it was a nudge versus the major indicator where things are bad, and now I'm having to do major changes. This was more the nudge, like we got to rethink these things. So I'm encouraging, as I share my story and as I navigate this space, encouraging others to. Um, it's a lot going on. Like, I'm an empath. I know that much, and so oftentimes I feel myself carrying my stuff and then carrying other stuff. And it's impossible not to see what's going on in the world. It's impossible not to see to see what's happening in Gaza, and not carry that and hurt for people who are in danger and being killed, and the loss of life and the loss of family. And it's nonsensical. And I mean, there's loss of life on both sides, but at this point, there is also the just the erasure of the people in Gaza, and that's not okay. And it is the seeing that and knowing that it's existing and feeling helpless, like you personally can't do anything to change that, and knowing that our tax dollars are going into that, the genocide of a whole race of people, it is, this is heartbreaking. And before you know it, you're carrying all of this stuff because you're existing in this society, and it's hard. So self-care is the whole point that I was sharing. That how self-care is definitely something that has to be a major focus. Um, yes, very healing, and finding the Afro places. Oh, um, one girl's party for me, it was 75% emotion, my TIA. This is someone who shared on social media on my Instagram account that she also had a TIA. And so for you, 75% emotion. Absolutely. Physical and emotional rehab needed. Absolutely. And because we're such a society of pushing forward and getting things done, we don't necessarily focus on on the care that's needed. Teresa, I hope you are feeling better soon. Very sorry that you're having something going on with your eyes. I can relate to that. So I hope you're feeling better. Wayne is saying, I suffer from neuropathy, which is nerve damage from an old military injury. I can relate. I have my good and bad days, and every day it affects me. I have been in and will be in treatment for life. I hope you're really focused on your self care. Thank you for sharing that. Um, it also has been like with what Wayne just shared. Um, Also, one of the things that has for me become something that I'm more aware of is the fact that, and I've heard it said before, but it never really sat with me until recently, how um, people are um, suffering from disabilities that you don't even see. And I don't know how to, y'all know my emotions are all over the place. And so being kind and less judgmental is something that is definitely um, necessary. Rosin says, you are finding your new normal. Don't give a nap bad rap. They are very necessary. So my naps, it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, I came in the house because the other thing it happens for me is I my drive to and from the house into Charlotte, my drive is about 45 minutes. So that drive sometimes gets long. And I came in, I think it was a Sunday, I came in and sat on my futon here in the office, and I was like, I'm getting ready to get myself together. And and then I woke up, and it was, and when I sat down, I'm thinking it was about 6 o'clock, and I was just gonna sit for a few minutes and get myself together because I had things to do. And I think I woke up and it was like 11:30, dark outside, and I was like, that. I think that was really a long nap. That is not what my intention was, but I am just going with the flow. Oh, an empath too. The joys and the burdens of it. Like sometimes I recognize that I feel heavy about something and I can't even put my finger on what is heavy for me. And then I recognize it's not even my stuff that I'm feeling heavy about. I'm carrying something else that I'm aware of. So yeah. Um Emotional meditation for over 12 years helped me. Um I have it with all that's going on in the world day by day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, the meditation, I have always wanted to focus on my meditation practice. And I am now at a place where I feel like it's more necessary than something that I just aspired to do. It is necessary to center myself and to reframe some of my thinking actually, because the practice and the repeated part of that is necessary in reframing and in the habit building piece of it. And now for me it is less of just something that I aspire to do, but I'm feeling as it's necessary as part of my day, and that brings me joy. So I understand that completely. Key is saying I had to learn to put myself on my list of priorities. I had to learn to let things and people go. I accept that it's okay to sit and just be. Had to get back into the things that bring me joy. Absolutely. That's one of the things. I think it was in my meditation yesterday. Was and I had a really good one yesterday. Where it was here the point I'm looking at my notes. It was saying reconciliation and forgiveness can be an internal act, um, where oftentimes we're waiting for apologies, or we feel like apologies are due. We feel like people need to own their part in stuff, and in owning it, there's sometimes an admission necessary, and an admission, owning it, and then offering an apology. But one of the things that I know is not everybody is doing that work, and not everybody is at the place where they can admit and own and offer an apology. And sometimes it's people very close to you, sometimes it's family, and you it would expect that it's something that you feel like you do in that situation. And but sometimes you have to understand, one, that person isn't you, and not everybody's doing the work. And then three, um, did I lose my third point? No, I didn't lose. It's right there. Um, Man, I lost my third point. Yeah, at least I've already told you all that I lose my points now. I had a good third point. Um, I think I was getting ready to say that it may never come, and sometimes you, for your own peace, this wasn't my third point, but it's made my third point to come back to me. But just for the peace of mind, instead of, I was getting ready to say, where you feel like you really value that person, or you value that relationship, and you can't imagine that that person wouldn't offer, or value the relationship the same, and meet where they're part of whatever is going on. They just might not. And for your own peace of mind, and forgiveness is oftentimes more for us than them. And so that is one of the things that my meditation yesterday was really focused on. Key. Sorry, y'all. I told y'all sometimes the thoughts just go. But it did come back. Um, Wayne is saying it's a lifestyle change, chronic pain, no one can see. Weakness and muscle strength, no one can see. Blood clotting, no one. High risk for strokes, etc. Being on blood thinners, pain medication. Absolutely. So sending you much love, much, much love. Um, Change your view on the word selfish and look at it from the perspective of being self-full. Um, Paraphrasing from Ayala Van Zant. I agree. Because I feel like I'm more old school, and I come from a period where focus on self was really seen as selfish and self-centered, and I feel like a lot of the work that I'm having to do, like the reframing, also comes from my time period of the way things we were taught, and the way you were supposed to do things, and pushing through stuff, and self-care wasn't a thing. It was more of black women can do all the things, you just keep pushing, and it is so much of what is hurting us, and this younger generation is focused on self-care, and I think a reframing has been necessary for me for an unlearning of so much of what is just like part of, um I think I'm Gen X, right? Yeah. So much of what is just part of our learnings, and we are having to rethink that. Oh, Wayne is saying that he is gets weekly acupuncture. I haven't done acupuncture in about 3 years. I'm glad you're able to get that care. Um, but I really enjoyed it. I had something going on in my real severe pain, and it's got a name for it. Starts with an N, and I'm not going to be able to say the name of it, but in my kind of under my shoulder blade, and nothing would make the pain stop. And I just tried acupuncture, and that gave me a lot of relief. So I am a fan of acupuncture. Thank you, Michelle. Um, so Novia is saying having gratitude is enough for me. And I think it is amazing how being in a space of gratitude is will change your whole mindset. And that is absolutely important. Um, the other piece of a podcast I was listening to yesterday, the woman was saying, well, she was actually um, a doctor with a whole bunch of qualifications, and she was talking about how oftentimes in society, we are given medications to, for depression. And I'm not saying anything about don't take medications. I'm just saying what was shared. Medication is needed, take medication. But she was saying oftentimes there's also the opportunity to physically reshape your brain through a practice of gratitude. And she and some others have done some studies that a practice of gratitude, and her suggestion was starting your morning with 5 things you're grateful for, and then ending your day with 5 things you're grateful for. And they've apparently done some studies to show how over the course of time that practice of gratitude will physically reshape the brain. And I feel like that is so much of the beauty in the way we were created. Like, it's not far-fetched for me to think that is impossible, just because of the beauty in the way we were created, and what gratitude does for you, your energy space. So I can absolutely see it changing that brain space. Rosalind is saying, keep in mind that forgiveness doesn't mean pardon. Pardon. It is perfectly okay to have very limited or no dealings with the person who violated you. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Um, Crystal is saying, I'm not strong enough for all things. Is it all things and need to recoup? Things, yes. Okay. Yeah. Um, yes, Michelle is saying we have to let go of the label of being strong. Self-care is not being weak or selfish. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and so Key is agreeing with Rosalind about forgiveness not being a pardon. Um, and it is there's a lot of liberation in that, just like Key is saying, so much liberation in that. And at the end of the day, that is the end goal, freeing yourself from those types of things. Thank you so much. Crystal is the fruit feast, and becoming a fruitarian. Oh, that's beautiful. A lot of your pain. That's beautiful. Um, yes, Rosalind is saying, corporate America requires you to have to take the high road and swallow the frustrations of microaggressions. Only getting a paycheck, too emotionally expensive. And I am so at the point. where I'm not able to swallow the microaggressions. Like one of the things I shared recently um, in a meeting within corporate America is that, and this for me is really post George Floyd. Like I feel like something snapped for me around that time because um, when George Floyd happened, and we all know that we were in quarantine at that point, and so it was a captive audience of everyone having to watch what happened and how it played out. And then in the corporate spaces, so many corporations then wanted to analyze how how they've treated black people, and then so many corporations went through all of these exercises of listening to the black employees and having these town halls and having these think tanks and how can we do better, and supposedly analyzing salary, because they all know, and they then to this day they all know they aren't paying fairly. But they were doing all of these things because they wanted to be better organizations. And then that went on for a time period, and most of it was the labor of black people, where they were calling black people into these think tanks to share your experiences and how can we do better. So again, the labor is we're injured in the work and what they do, and then we still have to come in and do this work to tell them how they injure us, only for them later to not do a damn thing. And so for me, having gone through that, and I was working at one of the major banks during this time, and it was so much of, I mean, we had a think tank session 2, 3 times a week. And all of us, the black people, knew that it was a waste of our time because it wasn't going to impact change, and it was just lip service and a waste of our time, and it's frustrating. And so but we all already knew that. And so just like we knew, they get to the end of all of that and time goes on and it starts quieting down, and then they start focusing on the corporate initiatives and all of the things that they were going to do that came out of these conversations that they kept saying, oh, we're listening and we want to be better, or somewhere in somebody's notebook, in a file on the OneDrive, and nothing came of that. And so I shared with a leader most recently that as a result of that, like for me, that was my final straw. Like something broke in me then, because to that point, you didn't talk about the fact that you knew your counterparts were making more money than you, or you didn't talk about the fact that you had done the work and somebody else was presenting your work, or you weren't getting credit for the work, or you were always called in to do the cleanup. Um, somebody else gets to shine, but then on the back end, you called in to do the cleanup and do the real work. And then when the conversations happened after George Floyd was murdered, then they wanted to have those conversations, and so we shared a lot of stuff, and that was adding injury to insult, because we shared the trauma that we've been sitting on for all of these years, for them only to do nothing, absolutely nothing again. And so the break for me is that I can't accept, and this was a long story, but I can't accept microaggressions. And I read something a while back about not calling them microaggressions because they happen so much and they happen so frequently. As they pile up, micro becomes macro, and we've endured them for so long. So they're not microaggressions anymore because we've endured so many of them. They're macroaggressions, and so that's exactly what I call them. But I'm not willing at any point anymore to accept macro aggressions and not call them out. So when I am asked, when the employer doesn't have representation within the department, and they go around and ask the few people who represent some diversity to send in a picture, so that they can include it in a presentation so they can look diverse, I'm calling that out. That's BS. It's BS in that the leader should know better in asking for that. And I shouldn't be put in a position where I'm asked to do this when I know it's tokenism. It's tokenism. I'm just not willing to do it. Like, I'm calling out all the things. And for me, I'm doing myself a disservice if I'm sitting there quietly and allowing these macroaggressions to continue. Um, I was asked to kind of take the lead in having conversations with leadership to help them understand, what that looks like, and how I don't and how they need to do better. I don't work in DE&I. I don't work in HR. I'm hired for this job. That's out of my job description. To even ask me to do that again is adding injury to insult. And if that person who probably makes 5 times what I make isn't tasked on their own to go get the proper training and all that kind of stuff, it's not my job. I'm not doing it. And that is, at the end of the day, like, I have, over the course of working in corporate America, I think of all of the things that I swallowed because I had a mortgage to pay. I had a child to feed. I can't lose this job, and this is total disrespect, but I have to have this job. And that was like sometimes swallowing fire. And we all know internally all of that is the buildup of harm to our physical bodies. I'm not willing to do that anymore. At 50, my daughter and my I kept saying, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I kept saying I was 57, and I think I had said it about 3 or 4 times, and she said, "You're not 57." And so, um, I had to do the math. I'm 56. I will be 57 this year. I got ready to say 57 again. I'm not willing to do it at 56. Like, fire me, y'all can fire me, because I'm if you want to call me the angry black woman, that as they do, because I'm calling y'all on your microaggressions, or if you want to say I'm aggressive, whatever you want to say, you want to fire me, like, have at it. But I am not swallowing fire anymore. Not swallowing fire. So I'm with you. Like, to have to swallow that to get a paycheck is too costly. There's the physical, the emotional damage that comes with all of that, and it is too costly. Like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Um, so yeah, so they are saying I'm a fan of acupuncture too, but my insurance won't cover it. I think insurances think it's hokey or something. And that's sad, and that is sad, because, and I'm glad that it's being covered and offered as part of the VA coverage, but my insurance wouldn't cover it either, and I paid out of pocket for it. But I don't think for some reason, they don't assign a value to it, but it works. It really works. Um, Michelle is saying we constantly say we are strong. It doesn't allow for help for others, and it taints how they see us. Absolutely. The thing about that, and I've said that before, is like, when you're the strong person in your circle and people depend on you and come to you and all of those things, they often don't ask, "Are you okay?" Um, or when it's the time that you aren't in a place to be and feel strong, you don't have anybody to go to, because you're the strong person in the circle, and people don't expect that you should be having a moment where you're not being strong. And that, like you said, that's doing yourself a disservice. Wayne is saying that's why I meditate, yoga, in spaces of positive energy, like growing some of my own food, getting and sitting in the sun, nature, away from the city, drinking my teas, and finding my daily chai. That's beautiful. Um, Judith is saying, I have a question on another subject. Will your beautiful necklace interfere with the little tabs on the heart machine being made of metal of some sort? So no. So this thing is a little different. It just slides in. It's not those tab things. I did ask that question. Thank you for mentioning it. I asked that question when I got it placed, and there's no problem with it. But thank you, Judith. I appreciate that. Krista, amen. Amen, amen, amen. Right. Um, Absolutely. Hi, Frederick. Good to see you. Sorry we missed. Frederick is part of the Patreon community, and I saw your comment where you missed the monthly chat. We'll be back. We're just getting started over there, so we'll be back. Um, and I look forward to connecting. Um, yes, so Day is again talking about the fact that forgiveness is hard. Sorry, y'all. I gotta open the window. It's a little warm in here. I do have on a thick sweatshirt. Um, Laura is saying they stood diversity up and nothing was done. It was a whole farce. And like when we would the thing is, as we were all us, the Black community, were all in these meetings, we'd have our side chats. We'd message each other because we knew it was BS. Um, Fortunately, we were at home, and so we didn't have to be on camera, so we could sit there and roll our eyes, because if we had to be in a meeting room while all of that was going on, like we would not have been able to stop the rolling of our eyes, because it was such a farce, and we knew it. And they were, oh, this is different. We're not this time is different. We're listening. We hear you. The blah blah blah. Um, yeah. Wayne says, as a soon to be 55-year-old melanated man who served in two wars, came back with injuries, go to work in corporate America and racism, the toxic matrix. I'm done with that. I'm living a simple lifestyle now. I'm with you, Wayne. I am with you. I am navigating that course, and what that looks like, so I can too. Like I've created it in my home. I've created it in so many other ways. In corporate America, and my earnings is that last piece and my last connection, and it is toxic, and it is physically damaging, and I have to be my greatest priority. So I'm right there with you. Um, V is saying, one of the things I love is that you're showing us how to implement things differently to build us for our own good. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, and I feel like that's one of the reasons too, where I have to navigate this space of what does my future um, path look like outside of corporate America, because I can't talk the talk and not walk the walk. And to the point before where I could kind of skirt around the toxicity and not have it. It's always impacting, but now that it has caused great harm, I have to do something differently and to protect myself. And so that is important to me, not just talking the talk, but also walking the walk. Um, yes, corporate America leads us to having to swallow our own integrity. Absolutely. Um, I think Michelle is saying some insurances cover. Okay, that's good to know. But none of the insurances I have ever had have. Keith says, I wrote a piece called You. The breakdown of the letters is your own uniqueness. We don't acknowledge just how important you is. Everything about you is valuable, worthy, and non-negotiable. Absolutely. And that non-negotiable piece is something that comes with a cost, but it's worth it. And it is absolutely something that for me, I'm having to practice and put in place, and and it's new. It's absolutely new territory. Um, Rosalind is saying guilty as charged. I'm an angry black woman. Please don't fool around and find out. So the fool around and find out was the clean version. I like the other version. Um, Absolutely. Like I've one of the things that early on in the tiny house movement, when I was calling folks out for the racism that exists within the movement and within the way the leaders were trying to talk through tiny houses and the path they were going for the legalization of tiny houses, and they were leaving black and brown people out of the conversation, and they were purposely leaving and purposely leaving the unhoused out of the conversation, the people who need housing the most. Um, as I was calling them out on that, that I told you all that time I got an anonymous threatening email that they were coming for me, and they said I had a black heart and I was an angry black woman, and I was like, I'm good with that. Um, anger Anger changes things. Anger isn't always necessary a bad thing. Like if I'm angry because people are being mistreated, that's a good anger. And it results in change. It's not anger where I'm causing someone harm because I've got a bad attitude. It is anger for mistreatment. It is anger for um, not being represented. So I'm okay with that. Y'all call me what you want. So hello. Okay, so yes, Michelle is saying some insurances cover holistic health. I haven't ever had that, so I hope at some point. I got something glittery on my face. I hope at some point I have that option. B is saying maturity shows us that the system we support is nothing without our labor, and that has been since its inception. We can find alternatives to making a living that does not include playing their game. And that's where I am. That is the work that I am um, working on, absolutely. And the thing about the system is nothing without our labor. Where I was just recently traveling. I feel like as I travel internationally, like everywhere you go, the story starts with um, a port where the enslaved was brought in, and the contributions of the enslaved to this area, and I mean it's the same story over and over, the uprisings and all of these things, and it is not just the US that was built on the back of the enslaved. It was throughout the world. And then you hear the that we're a lazy people, and we're this and we're that, we're uneducated, and we're dumb, we're worthless. Absolutely not. Our labor has been used to build um, this world, and to build these systems that we don't even benefit from. So no, yeah, I'm right there with you, right there with you. And Day, we are absolutely sending you um, a lot of love with what you shared, and those thoughts. Like forgiveness is hard. Yeah, me too. Um, yeah, that American dream, degrees and corporate America and big houses in the suburbs and the cars and the things. And then you get to a point you recognize that's not where it is. That's not what brings the joy, and that's not what brings the satisfaction, and we often damage our health trying to achieve those things. um so Michelle is saying my integrity is never negotiable. I paid the price when I worked in corporate America, and I was okay with that. Living with myself and being an example for my daughters and grands is more important. I got it. I understand that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Agree 100%. Agree, agree, agree. Um, It's 12:55, y'all. Okay, I did want to share a reminder that we have the upcoming Tiny House Festival. So let me share that um share that screen. There we go. All right. So if you're able to attend, would love to have you come to the Carolina Tiny House Festival. It is April 13th and 14th. The theme of the festival is changing the face of affordable housing. Um, it is, I think I said it, April 13th and 14th, Saturday and Sunday. Um, it's in Concord, North Carolina, which is right outside of Charlotte, 15 or as you drive through Charlotte, you hit Concord. It's at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is being put on by Tiny House Big Movement. You see here, Tiny House Big Movement is Black woman owned. Um, and encouraging us to attend and support if we can. And then um, we're still working on all of the details. I am responsible for the speakers, and so I am still pulling in speakers. We've got some um, um, in the final negotiations for our keynote speakers, so that will information will be coming soon. Excellent keynote speakers are planned, and then I want y'all to look at this lineup of the speakers thus far. I have some more coming. BD, you probably didn't know you were already on the site, Bonnie. And I'll be in touch with you with some marketing collateral for you as well. So I said to you all in the beginning, this will be one of the most diverse um, speaker lineups in actual people and our conversations, and that is important to me. Um, and then I see, Michelle, you're asking about the schedule. So the agenda is somewhat finalized. I haven't gotten to the point of assigning speakers to days and times, but we've got some pre-festival events that are happening on that Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, the times for the festival, it's 10 to 5. And throughout that time, we'll have the speakers allocated. So and there'll also be vendors and exhibitors and tiny houses to tour. So it's 10 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. But I don't yet have um, the speaker schedule outlined, but that's coming um, fairly soon. And so again, I just want you all to know that the content is something that is key for this conversation, and I want it to be something of great value for our attendees, and so that is I'm putting a lot of effort into that. And so some of these spaces you or let's see, Najia for sure. I've had her on in our conversation series. Naja lives in Atlanta and has the tiny house in her backyard and on Airbnb. So I hope you'll join us at some point. Will soon also have a um, option where you can buy a ticket to sponsor an attendee if you can't attend but you want to sponsor an attendee. That will be an option there as well, at the request of someone else who wanted to buy a ticket who can't attend. So we'll be adding that soon. Oh, I'm excited too, Bonnie. Excited to have you. So Wayne is saying, becoming a minimalist. Sold my last big house in 2016. Bought this smaller 3 bedroom. Still too big, decluttering, donating, and doing solar and aquaponics. Less is more. And that's I mean, every time I say that, it sounds like one of those eat your vegetables kind of things that you heard when you were little, and it's just like, whatever. But now as an adult, you know how important it is to eat your vegetables, and and the less is more really resonates, because there's a freedom in less. For me, the way I'm able to move about, less for me is absolutely more. The fact that I'm navigating being on leave and reduced income, less is more, because if I was in a different space, then I'd be real panicked right now. But and I'm just grateful because that was my intention as I did this, but it's also theory. You know, that was the theory I had for myself, but now here I am in practical application, and I'm so grateful that that is actually true. That I am not in, you know, I've been laid off many times, and in situations, you know, as a young single mom, laid off, and you got to feed a child. There's a big stress associated with that. You know, I can hustle for myself, but when you're responsible for a family, or you're responsible for kids, and that feels totally different. Or you got a mortgage to pay. Those things hit differently, and so I am grateful that the practical application of how I was designing my life, 2014, when I was, y'all hear my stomach growling. When I was designing my tiny house, like now I'm in the practical application, and absolutely I'm grateful that those were decisions that I made as well. So I understand, Wayne. I understand. Welcome from Long Beach. Good morning. Oh, how to get tickets. Oh, okay, so let me show you that. Sorry, I should have shown that as well. Um, Here we go. So there is, oh, we probably should add a ticket option up here, but at on each page there's the purchase event tickets option. And so we are, like I said, adding a ticket type. So there's a 2-day ticket, 1-day ticket, kids 10 and under attend free with an adult purchase. The early bird ticket stopped, but like I mentioned, we're also going to add an option to buy a ticket to sponsor an attendee if you want to do that. Rosalind is saying, I wish we could have attend personally. Rosalind, this is our first year. I can see a virtual event in the absolutely available in the future. So thank you for that encouragement. Um, it is absolutely liberating. Um, Wayne is on it. Congratulations, Wayne. Um, and Day is saying the same, decluttering and selling things. And the thing about that, like I talk about that when people are trying to figure out how to come up with their money for their tiny house build. There's such an option for selling things and using that money to fund a tiny house build. It is, I did donating some stuff, I did the giving away of some stuff, and I absolutely sold some things. And that added to my tiny house build fund. So, um, very smart, very smart. Yes, less is definitely more. All right, good people. Let's see. What did I have? What else do I have? Let me drop some links. You can get merchandise, you can get on my calendar. I let me drop those two links. And then I my stomach says it's time to go eat. I have been pushing out my fasting to noon instead of, I usually stop at 11, so I've been pushing it out to noon. And so my stomach is like, listen, lady, it's time to eat. Here's the link that let me drop. I don't think I dropped the link for the festival. Maybe I did. I can't remember. There's the link for the festival. I am getting my whole life together with all of the things that I'm doing. So I've got the Patreon community that we're going to be focused on, and I'll be in there soon to kind of outline what we'll be doing, our conversations there, what we're going to be learning over in Patreon. I've got to update my YouTube channel. I've got some stuff out there that I haven't updated. Thank you, Crystal. And I'm still hosting our meetups. We have one upcoming in Atlanta, April 27th. My stomach is just like being disrespectful right now. April 27th in Atlanta, more details on that one. And then I'm still planning the one in DC. So I'll get back to that and have a date for that. Originally, I was thinking March. I kind of think it might be too tight to pull that together, but we'll see. And then I think that's it for right now to share. Oh, you can buy some merchandise. If you want to buy some merchandise, there you go. Let's see. Let me make sure yes, hit the like button. Thank you, Day. Crystal is saying yes, 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 yes. All right. I think that's all I have. Thank you all for being here today, as always. Welcome to our new Soul Collective folks. Glad you joined us. Hope you'll join us again. I am working on a couple of people to have on as guests. I will have Kim Delaney, who is the owner of Tiny House Big Movement, who I told you is putting on the Tiny House Festival event. I will have her on as a guest soon, and a couple of other people I'm connecting with to have on as guests. So look for that coming as well. Thank you, Crystal. Much love back to you, babe. All right. That's all I got. I love you too, Crystal. I love you all. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Um, I don't know how I didn't see I had glitter on my face. I'm not sure where it came from. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you have a great week. We will talk again soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, Thanks everyone for your support. I tell you all every week, it means so much to me. Means more than you all ever know. So I appreciate you all. My Sunday time with you all is something that I really treasure, and I really, really thank you all so much for being here. All right, happy Sunday. Let me change my screen and do that so we can close out here proper like. And that's not where the screen that I was supposed to be going to, but there we go. Thank you, Key. Love you too. Thank you so much. All right, this is our community conversation. Thank you, love, catching blessings. Hope you'll join us again. We'll be back next Sunday in conversation. Thank you, Michelle. Have a great Sunday. If you all need me, reach out. We'll be back in touch soon. And you all have a great week and be safe. Take care.